Let me ask you something. When was the last time you paid your taxes and thought, wow, that was easy, maybe even enjoyable? Yeah, probably never. For most of us, it's a real headache. But what if technology could actually change all of that? Today, we're diving into a fascinating case study from Indonesia that tackles that exact question. Okay, let's get into it.
No, seriously, just think about it for a second. No more long lines, no more confusing stacks of paperwork, no more lost weekends trying to figure it all out. Just a simple, quick, and clear process. It honestly sounds like a fantasy, right? But it's the very thing governments are now aiming for with digital tools. And the results, well, they might just surprise you.
All right, so to really get why the solution is such a big deal, we have to understand the scale of the problem first. And for a country like Indonesia, we're not talking about small change. The stakes are huge. We're talking about billions of dollars in government revenue that pays for pretty much everything.
So Indonesia uses something called a self-assessment system. Now, this isn't like when the government just sends you a bill saying, you owe this much. Nope. The responsibility is 100% on you, the taxpayer, to figure it all out.
Think about that for a second. The government is placing a massive amount of trust in its citizens to do all the work. Calculate what they owe, pay it, report it, and keep track of it. The entire system is literally built on a foundation of personal integrity. And here we get to the heart of that billion-dollar problem. Even with a system built on trust, tax compliance has been a major, persistent issue. The research shows that while the number of taxpayers is going up, the actual level of compliance is still considered pretty low, and that means the government just isn't getting the money it needs to operate.
So, you've got this system based on trust, but it's not quite working. What do? Well, you don't throw out the trust. You just make it way, way easier for people to be trustworthy, and that is where the digital solution enters the picture.
The first piece of this puzzle is what's called e-government. This is kind of the big umbrella idea. It's all about using technology to make every government service better, faster, and way more transparent. It's basically dragging the whole system into the 21st century.
Then we've got e-billing. This part zeroes in on actually paying the tax. So instead of some complex manual process, you get a simple, unique billing code for your transaction. You can pay it through your bank, you can pay it at the post office. It just makes the whole thing super convenient.
And the last piece of this digital trio is e-filing, which you might see called e-SPT. This is all about the reporting side of things. It gets rid of the mountains of paper and replaces it with a few clicks. It's an app that basically holds your hand as you fill out and send in your tax return, all online.
Okay, so these digital tools, they sound great on paper, right? But here's the million-dollar question, or in this case, the billion-dollar question. Do they actually work? Do they really make people more likely to pay up? Well, researchers decided it was time to find out.
So they set up a quantitative study. They got real data from 430 actual taxpayers. What they wanted to know was simple. Is there a real, measurable connection between using these new digital systems and people actually paying their taxes like they're supposed to?
In this graphic is a perfect little roadmap of their whole study. You can see the three things they're testing on the left: e-government, e-billing, and e-SPT. And all those arrows are pointing to the one thing they wanted to measure: taxpayer compliance. Super clear, super straightforward.
So you can boil down all their formal research hypotheses to these three basic questions. 1. Does making government services digital in general actually help? 2. Does making payments easier help? And 3. Does making the reporting part electronic help? Simple as that.
So they crunched the numbers, they analyzed all the data, and the verdict came in. And honestly, the results couldn't have been much clearer. Check out this number, 55.9%. This is the key takeaway. It means that those three digital tools we've been talking about can explain almost 56% of the reason people comply with their taxes. That is a huge impact.
When the researchers went back to those three big questions they were asking, the answer for every single one was a massive yes. Each one of these digital services had a positive and statistically significant effect on getting people to do the right thing. And this quote from the study's conclusion really just nails it. There's no room for doubt. The data shows, plain and simple, that putting these modern, tech-based systems in place gets better results. Period.
So, okay, we know that technology works, but what does this really mean for the average person? What does this big shift from paper to digital actually look and feel like? And why is it so effective?
This is such a great way to see the difference. I mean, look at the old way. Manual forms, having to physically go to an office, a process that was slow and confusing. Now, look at the new way. It's online, you can do it from anywhere, anytime, and it's designed to be simple and fast. It's a total game changer for the user experience.
So why does it work so darn well? Well, for one, it saves people time and money. It makes complicated stuff simple. And here's a really crucial one. It cuts down on that face-to-face interaction between you and a tax official. That helps shut down opportunities for corruption and makes the whole system feel more fair and trustworthy for everyone.
Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The research is also really clear about the roadblocks. Things can get held up by stuff like spotty internet access, not having enough trained people to actually run these new systems, and the big one, making sure all this sensitive data is secure. These are serious challenges that still need to be tackled.
And that kind of leaves us with this final big picture thought. This study gives us some really powerful proof that technology can solve one of the most frustrating and complicated parts of civic duty. So it makes you wonder, right? If technology can fix taxes, what other massive government problem could we solve next?